The Stranger I Met Episode 13. Written by Eberichukwu. Until one day, the worst happened. I had an exchange of words with James, and as I saw his anger begin to flame like dry leaves in the harmattan, I quickly ran out of the house. He came running after me, hurling insults and casting aspersions with every step. As I rushed downstairs, he grabbed a kitchen chair, flung it at me with rage, but by God's grace, I dodged it. I did not return home until late that night, just to avoid another fight. The next morning, Solomon went to school as usual, but when he came back, he looked troubled and withdrawn. He walked straight to me and said with finality, "Mom, I won't continue in that mission secondary school." "Why?" I asked, confused. His face fell as he explained, "My classmates laughed at me today. 2 of the boys from our street told them that you and Dad are always fighting. They mocked me, Mom. They made a caricature of me. I can't continue in that school. Please, register me in a school far away, somewhere my classmates won't know where we live." The words pierced me deeply. My tongue felt heavy. I couldn't utter a word for several minutes. I knew what he said was true. Many times, even my students and some teachers who lived near us would stare at me strangely, gossiping quietly, especially on days I carried scars or blood-stained marks from my face as evidence of our fights. At last, I tried to plead with Solomon. I begged him to endure, to ignore them and stay in the school. But he was firm. He wanted out. And I could already sense how the constant quarrels with James were tampering with his personality, leaving scars that were not visible but far deeper. When James came back that evening, I narrated Solomon's request to him. To my surprise, James said coldly, "It's even better we change the school. I don't even know what we're still doing there." The next day, the argument began, on which school to register him. James insisted we should take Solomon to a school far away. I countered his suggestion with reasons, but when I noticed his ego was being bruised, I lowered my voice. Eventually, I followed along with his decision. On the way to the school James had chosen, another quarrel broke out. It circled back to the possible cause of Solomon's frustration. James became furious, claiming that changing Solomon's school would cost him too much money and other material things. That was when it happened. He was on the steering wheel, driving recklessly, like a man competing in a dangerous car race. His tongue lashed out in abuses, and when I responded, his hand flew across my face. He slapped me hard, while the car was still in motion. Without thinking, I slapped him back. Instantly, chaos broke out inside the moving vehicle. I grabbed the steering in resistance. With a violent jerk, James pulled the car to a sudden stop. My heart pounded. Without hesitation, I flung the door open and jumped out of the car like a woman running for her life from kidnappers. I quickly flagged down another vehicle, rushed home, packed a few of my belongings, and went straight to my cousin's house. For the first time in my life, I left my children behind, not because I wanted to, but because my cousins lived in a small apartment. They would not be able to accommodate us all. It was unlike me to run for safety without carrying my children along, but I had no choice. That decision shocked James to his bones. He did not expect it. Perhaps he thought I would never leave the children in his custody. Not long after, James invited his younger brother, Jude, and pleaded with him to go after me, to beg me to return. Jude tried reaching me in my school, but felt it was not a convenient place to discuss such delicate matters. Instead, he diplomatically visited my parents. He asked after me casually, pretending it was just a normal visit. But since my parents had no idea where I was, he left them and came directly to my office the following day. When I saw him, I was surprised. He lived in another state, far from ours. Jude rushed to me with a broad smile, hugging me tightly. "Purity," he exclaimed. "What a day! I've missed your food, your humor, your laughter." I greeted him sarcastically, for my heart was still heavy with pain. He held my hands firmly and whispered, "Purity, your home smells. The house is scattered. Your children are unkempt and hungry. I was shocked that you left without them, unlike you." I lowered my gaze, fighting back tears. He continued gently, "Please, come back home and organize your house. Don't let this continue." Yes. It hadn't been easy for me. My emotions were drained. My spirit was weary. Jude spoke for a long while, pleading earnestly and even quoting Bible verses. For 30 minutes, he poured out his heart. Eventually, I gave in. I agreed to return. That evening, after work, Jude followed me to my cousin's house. I gathered my belongings and went back home with him. For months afterward, the house was calm, because Jude was present. Jude was a first-class engineer, brilliant and intelligent, though life had not favored him with wealth. He was rational, objective, and cheerful, a jolly good fellow. He did his best to maintain peace and order in our home. He admonished James often and counseled him on his harsh ways. One day, Jude confided in me that Solomon, Zane, and the younger siblings lived in constant fear of their father. Just a simple knock on the door in the evening would send them trembling, rushing into their beds before nightfall. James had succeeded in putting fear into everyone, except me. I was his nightmare, the one person he could not intimidate or silence. I refused to bow to his humiliation or accept defeat. After some months, Jude returned to his base. I too had to resume my final semester exams for my second degree. I took the children to my parents' house and traveled for my exams. On my way back, while in a public bus, something strange happened. A young boy, no more than 16, sat beside me. He looked like a first-year university student. While the bus was still loading, we both stepped down to stretch our legs. The boy turned to me and said, "Madam, can I talk to you?" "Yes, young man. You're free," I replied. His eyes grew distant, and his voice dropped. "You will soon see a terrible thing, something that will shock you to the marrow of your bones. Don't be afraid. Don't escalate the drama. I pray God gives you the wisdom to handle it." He turned away as quickly as he had spoken. My lips trembled as I whispered, "Amen." I could not shake off the chill that gripped my spine. And when I finally returned home, I was shocked beyond words. I entered the house slowly, my heart still unsettled by the strange words of that young boy in the bus. Everywhere was unusually quiet. Even the walls of the house seemed to breathe heavily with me. I tiptoed toward James's room, unsure of what I might find. The door was not locked, just slightly pushed in. With trembling hands, I nudged it open. And there he was. James sat alone in the center of the room, sweat dripping from his forehead. His face was stern, almost lifeless. What he carried in his hands made my heart freeze. He was holding a rope, thick and coiled, testing its strength by pulling it tightly with both hands. His eyes were fixed on it, as if calculating something grave. My breath caught in my throat. For a few seconds, I thought he meant to end his own life. But then he lifted his gaze and our eyes locked. A chilling smile curved his lips, one that did not reach his eyes. "Purity," he said slowly, almost in a whisper, "you finally came back." The way he said it made my knees weaken. My mind raced back to the words of the young boy, "You will soon see a terrible thing that will shock you to the marrow of your bones." James dropped the rope on the bed and stood up, walking toward me with measured steps. My heart pounded so loud I thought it would burst through my chest. What was he planning? Was the rope for him, or for me? I stood frozen at the doorway, every instinct screaming at me to run, yet my feet felt rooted to the floor. And then, episode 14 continues.